My name's James Riley, I'm 23, I'm from Bournemouth. I used to work in a nightclub called Chilly White Bournemouth, and on weekends and during the summer holidays I'm a professional wrestler. Well, when I was 13, my friends were all saying about how amazing wrestling was, and I just wasn't into it at the time. And one Saturday morning, SmackDown was on Sky, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. So I turned it on, and the first thing I see is Stone Cold Steve Austin hitting someone with a steel chair and beating them up, and I was just like, have I got the right channel? The next clip was a guy called Steve Blackman, who his style of wrestling was martial arts. I believe it was a hardcore match, and he was hitting his opponent with all these sticks and weapons and doing martial art style moves, and it was like, you know, I do karate and I really like this. And in the November, I'd been in touch with a guy named Tim Burns, and Tim said, "I'll come up, we'll take a look at you." It was April 14th, 2004. I'd got myself some white PVC trousers and a waistcoat, and was like, right, I'm going to be the Steve Blackman of this company. I went to college when I was 16. At the time it was purely because I didn't really know whether I was going to break into wrestling or not. So I went to my careers advisor, and she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be a wrestler. And her response was, oh, well, I've not heard that one before. And she showed me that they did acting courses. So I was like, right, okay, yeah, fine. I'll apply for the 1-year course, and by that time I'll break into wrestling. When I was at college, I met my friend Simon Collins, who introduced me to Tim Burns, and that was when I kind of started training with CWC and going with them. I got my place on a musical theatre course, and I did that for 2 years, and in the time I was there, on the BTEC first, I did Bugsy Malone, Fame and Les Miserables. We done a dance show on the National Diploma, which was a combination of Mamma Mia, Phantom of the Opera and the works of Bob Fosse as a final project. And I had applied for the contemporary theatre course, so I stayed there for 2 years, which to a point it did me better, because being in that location, I was 45 minutes drive away from Weymouth, and I met up with Klondike Kate and Justin Starr, who run training, so I went with them, and that was where I really begin to learn how to wrestle. I went and auditioned for a few holiday parks, and that's how I've ended up with my job now as part of the entertainments team. But at the same time, although I'm here, part of me still says, you know, you're a wrestler. You always have been, really, and you always will be. In terms of all the other things from karate and acting, musical theatre and dance, and even the little things that I'm picking up as an entertainer on the holiday parks, they'll all in some way add to wrestling, because even if it's just something so simple when I'm in the ring, the one thing that it does add to it is stage presence. Magic's a brilliant one. You sit there and you see a magician. Now everybody knows that a magician is going to do a trick, and there is a skill to that trick, sorry. So how can the magician pull you in to make his trick fool you? It's all smoke and mirrors, basically. But it's his presence on stage. When he's there, he's trying to pull you in, so you're watching him. And how's he going to do that? It's his stage presence. Whether it's just he'll bring your attention with his hand, or he'll force you to look at him. It's the same with a wrestler. The minute you come through that curtain, you have got 3 seconds to make an impression with people. So at the time, Tim Burns owned the ring that I had my very first wrestling match on, and he was involved in BWE. And the ring was stored in my garage anyway, so I just decided to buy the ring off of it. In 2005, my family and I set up a memorial foundation for the memory of my sister, who passed away when I was 16. And I decided that we were gonna try and run a wrestling event at the Barrington Theatre in Ferndown. And we run one in May and we run one in September, but both kind of flopped. I was at a really, really low point and I just needed something. I needed to do something. At the time I was on antidepressants and I had no hope. And I was sat with my dad in a restaurant and he went, "Do you know what? You've got the experience, you've got the knowledge, and you've got the know-how." Because he just said to me, I was like, "How do you run a wrestling event?" And I told him. And once I told him that, he was like, "So you've got all this, why don't you run a wrestling event?" I ended up that I decided to book the hall, and I run the show, and it was a success. And it was just like, went from being so low to the point where I really just wanted to curl up in a ball and die, to being so happy. Even though I'd had a nosebleed at the event, I was just like, right, I've run a wrestling event, let's run another one. And now we've got this one coming up in March. I don't know what's going to happen. And there's that fear. It's like, it's part of the fun almost. Like, you don't know if anyone's going to walk through that door at all. You know, people say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to come watch you," and they don't.
Pro wrestling? When I was a kid it was good, now I think it's just a load of rubbish and it's fake.
I don't really have much of an opinion on it really. It's quite entertaining, maybe.
I would class it more as entertainment than a sport, really, if it is all choreographed.
It's not a sport, definitely not a sport.
Well, pro wrestling is all fake, isn't it? And everyone knows it's fake, so it's not like it's a proper sport, really, is it?
It's entertaining for some people.
Where wrestling is just a complete... It's just for entertainment, it's a con war.
The ones that don't like it is because it is scripted. And the ones that do like it is because they don't mind it being scripted, they're only watching it because it's entertainment.
Stories. Like people who watch soap operas, really.
I don't think sports people would really watch it because, I mean, even though there is a huge amount of danger, and they have to train for like hours upon hours a day to be able to chuck each other about like that, they don't see it as a sport.
You know, you talk about it to somebody and all of a sudden they go, "Oh, I hate wrestling, it's all fake." Like one instance, this girl I was talking to was like, "I know it's all fake." And I don't insult people's intelligence. You know, it's like, yeah, the matches are predetermined and that's to either enhance the character's winning reputation or their status as a winner, or they'll lose. You know, it's one or the other. Or they'll lose a match by the bad guy cheating and it further enhances a storyline. When people turn around and say, "Oh, I know it's all fake," it's like, well, we do get hurt. And then they insult your intelligence by turning around and saying, "I've seen it," and no, you don't.
As a wrestler's mum, the worst experience that you can have is when you see your son getting hurt in front of your face. Coming out of the ring and someone landing on top of him and deliberately smacking their elbow down on their spine. He was actually taken out on a stretcher.
Chris Jericho was quoted as saying this: "Every time you hit the mat, it's like getting hit by a car going at 12 miles an hour. Tomorrow, I have to go to a chiropractor because I've got two shoulders that are both pushed in, stuck up, and they rub on the front muscle. I've got a right hip which is sat like that at an angle, a twisted spine, and because of my two shoulders and my spine, I have a lot of tension in my neck. I've got a left hand that cracks every time I make a fist. Both my knees at some point during matches have just like popped and the muscles become inflamed. One match, literally, someone grabbed hold of my leg and took me down, put me in a hold, and I turned the wrong way and my knee just went. That was 5 minutes into, not even 5 minutes into a match which lasted half an hour. So I'm limping through this match, doing my best to try and make it through. Injured in front of a live crowd, I couldn't just say, whoa, stop the match. I had to carry on. It's frustrating because you're, in essence, at one day, I could possibly end up in a wheelchair for all the stuff that I'm doing. And, touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if I was in a wheelchair because of wrestling and someone turned around and said that, it's like, maybe in years' time I'll go, I wish I'd never got involved in that business because look at me, you know, but I might not. And then when I'm in that wheelchair and I'm whizzing around and someone will tell me wrestling's fake, I'll go, really? So if wrestling's fake, why am I in a wheelchair because of it? And I would say that proudly, and all the injuries I've got certainly say to me, yeah, wrestling's not fake. How much longer can I keep doing it? I've been doing it 8 years and I'm at 24 at the end of April. Wrestling, it's like, well, this guy come along and he cost me my match, which was for the WWF title, and this guy's like, well, he screwed me out of my title shot and that's why I got him back and now we're gonna fight and all this. You know, when that was going on, that was what really made it for me. It was like there was always something going on, and that's why I enjoyed it, and that's why I think people enjoy it.
When I seen him in the ring tonight, he looked a bit different. Well, he's a bit older now, isn't he? But he's got the talent. It's all there. Shows like this tells you everything, doesn't it? He's obviously that interesting, and I'm glad to see it.
The show, I think, went well, but I was more stressed out about what was going on front of house. In a way, I'm just glad it's kind of over, because at the last minute there was quite a few changes, and it was literally like, what can I do? Stressful night, and it was just advice to anyone. Make sure you're well staffed. That's the thing I'm gonna say. At the minute, I'm not really sure where I want to go with wrestling. I mean, I run my show here. I've got a good little thing going. The pre-ticket sales went up a little bit, which is a positive thing. But basically, in terms of like career-wise with this, I'm not entirely sure what I want as of yet. I'm still sort of trying to find my feet with different things. Hence why I'm down in the southwest doing the entertainment on the holiday park. But who knows, maybe if I get to the gym a bit more and get the right image for someone like WWE or TNA and the opportunity ever arises, then yeah, I'd do it. But at the minute I kind of like what I've got, you know, the summer camps in the summer, and these shows and other people's shows. So
who am I? I'm Jay Knox. That's who I am.